Hey, good morning. Good morning, people. Good morning. This is Spirit Journey. Hope all is well. I know it's been a while, a couple of days. Yes, I'm back in the old room, my bedroom, and I'm doing a live stream. I actually try to do a live stream using StreamYard, but my iPad is not updated enough. I need a later version of software. So I'll see if I could update it because it would be neat to be able to do the StreamYard. Oh, well. So, anyways, yes, back in the bedroom. Yes, today is Thursday. Yes, good morning, Thursday. Good morning, Thursday. Yes, it is May. God, wow, I can't believe it's May already. It is May 4th, 2023, and the time is about 4:45 in the morning. And yes, you're looking at the skyline. Yeah, my phone is charging right now, and so I can't get the sorry, I can't get the window um, more direct because the cord is too short. And I do have my headphones on with the mic, so it gives some extra room to be able to speak. Yeah, I'm doing okay this morning. I went to bed at 8 o'clock. And yes, I did have my device on and fell asleep with a video playing. Yeah, it's a bad habit. I'm still trying to wean myself away from this device when I sleep. Yeah, I need more. I'm not getting my 8 hours sleep, but I at least went to bed early. Yeah, and then I woke up early too. I woke up around 1 o'clock this morning, try to go back to sleep. But yes, what I want to talk about. Well, when I woke up this morning, yeah, I want to talk about two things. My early morning vision that I saw, and many of you who've been following my live streams, my videos, my channel, know that I do this meditation in the morning upon awakening. And I just, upon awakening from just dreaming or sleeping, I often see something. And yes, it seems to be evolving what I'm seeing. And that's what I want to share with you guys today. Let's see. Yes, I want to talk about that. And I want to talk about the Moonies. Yes, it's retro talk. Yeah, I fell asleep with my computer, my computer running, playing videos in the background. Yeah, and back in the day, I used to have a radio and have the radio on and fall asleep to it. So now I use my computer and have it playing. It's a bad habit, I know. But yes, I am being honest to do that. Um, so either way, I want to talk. Well, one of the videos that was playing upon awakening was about an interview with a man who was in this organization by Reverend Moon, the Unification Church. That is the official name, but here in the States, they're known as the Moonies. And I like to talk retro talk. My experience with them back in the day, I think it was 1980 or 81. And yeah, it could have been actually 1980. Yeah, I was real green. I was going on 18 or just turning 18. But yeah, I want to talk about that time and my thoughts about it. So let's begin. Well, my vision first. Yeah, I woke up, did the exercise that I do for getting into the meditative vision state, and this is what I saw. Um, it looked like a flat screen, very flat, and it had a frame, like a border, I should say, not frame, a border. It was rectangular in shape, um, landscape position, and the border looked about maybe an inch and a half in diameter all around the rectangle shape screen. It was a dark border, like could have been black even. And then within, I saw an image. I saw an office space, a very clustered office space, desk, paper, those typical office, I don't think I saw any people in it. No, I don't think it was any people I saw. But I saw this office space. Looked like, remind me of almost like a newsroom, just really big, a lot of desks, papers, knickknacks, just like what you would see in a typical office space, back in the day. And then, and it looked flat, like I'm actually looking at a screen because everything was within that border, a perfect rectangle shaped screen. First time I ever saw it like this, actually, and yeah, it had a very flat look to it, like I'm actually looking at a screen, and not like that I'm there, but I'm witnessing it. And then, here he goes, that bright light. It was like a light comes on, like the office space was lit. It was lit. You could see everything clearly. It wasn't super sharp. Like sometimes when I see an image, it's like ultra. It could be ultra clear, but this one had a slightly grainy, and it was slightly grainy, but it was lit. It was a lit office. And then what usually comes on, what usually happens now with what I'm looking at in my visions, it was a light, this very bright light. I mean, it's not hurting my natural eyes, but you see like a light, a very intense light. Um, it's a small light. Sometimes it's very narrow shape, or sometimes it's uh, like a blob, just a small blob. It's not covering the whole thing that I'm looking at. It's like a little piece of this light, and it's usually on the bottom of what I'm looking at, and it comes on, and I notice, yeah, I notice this happens quite often. And I'm thinking, oh, maybe my eyes are slightly opening or something, and I'm seeing the natural light. No. Because I said, well, keep my eyes closed. So when it did it today, that light, that intense light, it's like a yellowish type of light, or street light type of thing, that color. But it was intense. But it's not hurting my eyes, but I see it. And I know when that happens, it's saying you're not going to see anything more. It's like to blind you, to block you. That's my impression, because after that, when that happens, I can't really see anything else. So it started to do that little light thing on the bottom. So I said, "Oh, are my eyes closed? Are my eyes? Yeah, I know my eyes are closed." So just relax your body again. Don't tense up. I find that when you relax the face and the eyes and just go with it, then the vision came back of that same office space. And that light flashed on again. And then when I noticed something big was going past the space up front, like some type of device. Look, wasn't a person. I think it was something more mechanical. It was some type of object, and it moved in front of what I'm looking at. Part of it on the right hand side actually. You saw movement. And I'm trying to relax more to be able to see more. The more you're able to relax and go with it, and not think, and just go with it. It helped prolong the what I'm seeing. But that's basically it. Then I couldn't get anything more out of the vision. But yes, I realize, especially today, because I know my eyes were closed, and I have these goggles on, this amber goggles, to block out any what you call blue light. If you on the computer, the blue light can hurt the eyes, and so you use something to try to shield your eyes from the effects of blue light from a monitor or computer. So that's what I encountered, but I noticed something that these spaces, I feel these spaces are protected spaces. This is what I'm speculating. These are protected spaces. And again, when I do my visions, I don't plan out what I'm going to see. Whatever what the universe or whatever you want to call it leads me to see. That's how I go. That's how I go. And so I don't know what these spaces are, where these spaces are. I don't know. Sometimes I see individuals. Once in a blue moon, I see people. And again, it looks like like an office building. It just had that very. I worked in many, many office buildings back in the day. It just has that feel to it, or basement. And so today, that light, I have a feeling that these are controlled spaces, off-limit spaces. I'm wondering, and it could sense my energy. It could sense my energy manifesting there, or my consciousness manifesting there. That's what I'm speculating, and it triggers an alarm. Something is able to perceive my presence, my consciousness. Could you imagine? It can perceive my consciousness and then turns on the switch for that. It's like an impulse, an electrical impulse, light form, and flashes, disconnecting me from what I'm seeing. Yeah. And so it's been happening lately. But it could be almost, and so it sometimes, it happens in many of the times, and I'm not. It doesn't even look like I'm looking at something private or whatever. It could be almost anything I'm looking at, but something is happening. Something is knowing my activity, and it's purposely blocking my consciousness. Yeah, so it's not one specific thing, like it only happens if I'm inside a building, whatever. I could be, let me see, let me make sure now. Hmm. So I don't want to say so. So it's not like a blanket case. I mean, because I've been in spaces, it looked like inside of some type of facility, and no flashes. But I'm wondering whether the ones that have the flash is the same space, same building. Yeah, like interesting. I'm thinking back now. Remember about like it's in March, early March of this year, 2023. Remember I had that vision of that soldier that was wearing body armor. Yeah, that one didn't have a flash. That was inside a building. Some type of I felt that they were in some type of craft, like in Star Trek, how the walls look, all these lights and gadgets and things. That's what I felt that what it was like. Yeah, because it was when that plastic body armor, um, that's reminiscent of Star Wars. Remember those guys wearing those white outfits? It's a plastic. Oh, my mic sounds like it's reverberating. So someone might be, yeah, yeah. It's really slight. Sometimes when I'm doing a video, something with the audio, like some type of signal, like something's opening and tapping into my device. You can hear it. It's very slight. I hear you, buddy. Yeah, it's very slight. It has an open effect. It's very different. The feel of it. It's hard to describe. Yes, good morning, viewer. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, it's hard to describe that open. It's like something is turning itself on, and it has access to my device. Yeah, because it starts to sound funny when I talk into the mic. Okay, so yes, the vision that I had in March of this year, 2023. Yeah, that one, it was very, very clear what I was seeing. And I was situated down on having the vision from uh, a standpoint. It looked like that I was positioned down on the floor looking upward. And I see that man, that soldier, wearing gear, body gear. And you can see all the equipment behind him. Yes, people, things. There are things out there. There are activities. And I'm almost certain, again, I don't know where this space was, that this soldier, he was a black man too. He looked like a black American fellow, extremely bad skin, very, very pocked, that has a lot of holes, but, what you call pizza face. I hate to say it like that, but uneven skin tone. Yeah, and he had goggles on. I think there were special goggles for what activity. And he was talking to someone, and he seemed really in good spirits and smiling and talking. I'm not sure what he had in his hands. His hands were down to his sides, but he could have had something in his hand, but I don't remember. Yeah. So some things that are private, that I would assume to be private, I have access to. While other spaces, it seems to be protected. It seems to be protected by some type of alarm system. And I'm reminded again, this could have been 1 or 2 years ago, again doing my morning vision. And then lo and behold, I mean, this was something else, this one. Um, my consciousness was in a building, in an office space, like on a shelf, like I was on a top shelf of something, or maybe top of a desk, I mean, of a cabinet or something. And then, I mean, I don't get any audio. And then all of a sudden, I see this arm thing, this mechanical arm moving upward in front of my vision, and it was a camera. Oh my goodness. It was clear, 3D, almost three dimensional. It was extremely clear, like I was there, like I'm physically there, my consciousness, in that space. I looked online to see if I can find any other, what you call camera, digital camera or something like that, or we call camcorder. Yeah, it had a lens, like a small rectangle attachment to this. It almost looked like a hamburger-shaped object, very smooth. Seemed like some type of hard device, hard, but attached to the top of this hamburger-shaped like, device that was connected to a mechanical arm was a camera. Had a little baby stand, like an inch tall, so sticking out from it on the top, and then the squarish or rectangle, small rectangle shape camera. That might have been maybe an inch and a half in diameter. The width, and shorter in height. But yeah, rectangle shape, and that was the lens. And it went, and it was filming me. It got alarmed that of something, and the camera came up. That was neat. I mean, again, I did not plan on going to any space, any. It, I just meditate, and whatever what happens happens. But this thing turned somehow got. I got the impression that there was some type of system alarm. It could see me, and it came up, and I'm seeing this, but no audio. But I can almost imagine that I hear audio in this thing, this mechanical. It was a security system. I couldn't find the device online, but I know it exists. I saw it, and yeah, this is some world. The mind is a powerful thing. Our minds is what others want to control. Your mind could soar, what you call astral project. Your mind, yeah, astral project. But I'm thinking that what I'm doing is not astral projection. I did go to a facility once. There was a class in New York City where I live, and they taught astral projection. So I know the procedures of astral projection, and that's not what I'm doing because my body is not disconnected from my. I feel as if my consciousness is traveling somewhere else, my knowing. And that's amazing. And yeah, you, so I realized, the mind is a powerful tool. The mind could help you, or sometimes people could tap onto your mind and control you to get their will done. And that's the second portion of this live stream. Yes, I mentioned earlier in the live stream. Yes, good morning, viewer. Good morning. Say hello in the chat room if you haven't. So what I'm going to talk about next? About mind control through cults. Yeah, Spirit Journey went through a lot of things in her journey. Yeah, this is about 42 years ago, 42, 43 years ago. Yeah, 42 years ago about. So that's going back a long time. But I can remember it as if it were just maybe a year ago. Yeah, I was a college student, and and I had my first little job. I worked for the city. Very naive. And I used to walk around Greenwich Village. Yeah, my job was in Greenwich Village, and I would walk about. I loved the village. That was my hangout. Yeah, but back in the day, some parts were kind of seedy. Yeah, anything like what street was that now? East of Broadway was seedy. Yeah, I remember that. It was kind of seedy. So anything west of Broadway, on Broadway and west of it were fine. And yeah, they had great pizza back then too. Yeah, pizza was real pizza back then. Yep. But anyways, I used to walk around the village and then I walked towards Greenwich Village. Greenwich Village is more west. It's the west portion. But I call collectively Greenwich Village, each village, the same thing, you know. It had a similar flavor. Uh, yeah, I like both halves. And so I was walking to, I think I was by 6th Avenue or 7th Avenue, around 8th Street. And I walked inside a store. It was a glass menagerie store. Yeah, there was a store that sold glass figurines, and they actually made it there. Yeah. And I had come in, and I was very inquisitive. People could tell, when people, go into the store. Sorry, my voice is going. I just had something to drink too. My apologies. Yeah, back in the day, yeah, people can tell whether someone is just want to shop and buy or kind of venture in and interested in talking conversation. And so we were having a conversation. They were older than me. They could have been in their 20s. Yeah, they were young, relatively young. They seemed nice. It was a man and a woman, and they invited me to attend a dinner thing, a gathering, and they were polite, and so I attended, and they said, get this, people, they said they were a part of the Unification Church. Now, back in those days, in 1980 or 1981, I was an atheist, a devout atheist. I was into science. Um, I didn't know religion. I wasn't trained in religion, but my family background is Catholic. I should say my mother was a Catholic, and some of my siblings was raised, did go to Catholic school. I did not. Yeah, by the time I was born, I'm one of 7 kids. Um, yeah, by the time they got up to me, they stopped religion. They stopped going to church, and any type of religious anything. But yes, we had Christmas, just the Christmas tree and the presents, but that was it. It had no religious undertones, just a holiday. So they said, I felt, oh, okay, it's a church, right? Just a regular church. And I said, why not? I didn't tell them about I thought it was just safe. I thought, I'm thinking a Christian thing, they're all over in the black community churches. So, and it was in the city. And yeah, I remember, if I remember right, it was a big, big um, light color building. It looked almost like, um, what do you call it? Like a coliseum? Not a coliseum, that main. It was a building that had pillars. A very Romanesque building made out of stone. Really big, I remember. really big, and it was old building. And I remember going in, and I remember they had of I'm not sure what they did first. Did they feed us first, or did we watch a movie first? But either way, what was for dinner was this plain lettuce salad, real bland. And I remember there were other people sitting with it. We were at a long table, and they're eating. And some of the people kind of like, I don't know, they were young people, not as young as me, but they were just various people, and um, I don't know. I don't know, just kind of, I don't know whether I'm trying to remember what their eyes look like, but I think they're kind of spacey, some of them. And then I remember the movie. We watched a film, about love and light, love. Everybody should love each other, and all that fluff, as I call it, all fluff. And they said, "Oh, maybe you would like to go to a retreat. We're gonna have a retreat." So I said, "Okay, let me ask my folks." I said, I didn't give them an answer. So it was a weekend retreat. Yeah, a weekend retreat. And so I asked my pastor, "Hey, this church invited me to go to a retreat with them." And I told her the name of the church. And I remember my father was there, my mom, and he flipped out. He was yelling on the top of his head. He said, "Those are the Moonies." I remember, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. He used, my father had a very beaming voice. And you can't go to that thing, though. There's a cult. They're a cult, blah, blah, blah. And then my brother, I had a brother that came in the room. He says, "Oh, those people, they go on the street, they're selling flowers, and they have this glassy eyes, and you can do things to them, and they don't say anything, something lewd or something. And they just have looking stupid, and blah, 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 blah." I remember that. I said, "I just want to go on a retreat." They said it's like just for the weekend, Because I'm just thinking, hey, I'd like to go, do something. Go, I was a young person. I want to go out and venture and things like that. And he said, now this is like again about 42 years ago, but I see. I didn't know that they were a cult. I mean, I did not know them as the Unification Church. If they would have said the Moonies, oh, I know that as a cult. And yeah, I remember them. They were very popular. You would see them in the street. They used a lot of women, and they would sell flowers. They just sit there, and they look kind of off. And they would sell flowers on the street, they'd be like sitting on a corner. I mean, what do you call it, like? I'm not sure if they were actually sitting on the ground or something, but they was low to the ground, and they sold flowers to make money. And yeah, I knew them as the Moonies. And so I was embarrassed by my folks and family because they were yelling at me. And I didn't like that. The only thing they had to say was, "Oh, that's part of that's a cult. They're the Moonies." Yeah, the name they might call themselves the Unification Church, but they're known as the Moonies, and that's a cult. And I said, "Oh, I didn't know." That's what they had to say. But either way, like I was a little resistant. I was, because they didn't, I didn't know that they were the same organization. I didn't know they were the same organization. And I was embarrassed. And then the next day when I went to work, I called them up on the phone there on the job, and I said, "You tricked me. You didn't tell me that you're the Moonies. You told me you're the Unification Church. I'm not going to go on that retreat. And then I hung up. I think that's what was said. They didn't yell at me or anything like that. But that was my first run-in with a cult. And like the video that I was watching about the Moonies or the Unification Church, he was recruited also, this guy. He was recruited, he was 19 years old. This was back in the 1970s. And he left in the early, I think the early 80s. But yeah, this is the technique that this particular organization did. They'll invite you to something. They had this weird food. You know, don't eat any food. You never know what they put it, what people are going to put in it, and you're going to have someone there, and you're going to have something that bad to, yeah, yeah. They bring in people. Now I was a searcher. I mean, I was new to life. I was working in the big city, Um, first time I was, first time as an adult, when I was 17 in New York City. I mean, there was a class trip once. I was in maybe the first grade or kindergarten, and we're in New York City, but that doesn't really count. But this was the first time I being in New York City, and it was a big world, New York City, where I live right now. Very big place. And I wanted to see more of it. And I was trying to meet different people. I was a loner. I was a loner. And that's another red flag to look out for. If you are a person, what you call a loner, nothing wrong being a loner. There's no stigma of being a loner. There's a lot of things that you can accomplish doing things by yourself. And I knew for me, like, I remember going to a concert with somebody in the late 1970s, and they wanted to leave early to get home, and I wanted to stay there a little longer. And told myself, this is the last time I'm going to go out with anybody, if I'm going to hang out. If I'm going to go to a facility, an event, I'm going to go by myself because I love the control of if I want to leave, I leave. If I want to stay, I stay. I wanted that power. And so I did what I wanted to do. I walked to where I wanted to walk. I went in businesses that I wanted to go to. I had full free range. But with freedom comes responsibility, people. With freedom comes responsibility. You should have something in place if you're going into a facility you've never been to. Boundaries. It's easier said than done. What I'm speaking of right now, it's easier said than done. But I think it's a good exercise to have boundaries that in case X, Y, and Z happens, you have something designed to do in case of something. So you can get away, so you can leave. So that being said, yeah, be careful also. See, people can give names. They're official names of an organization, and then it's the true name, what they're known for. They're known as the Moonies. And the Moonies comes from the name Moon. The founder of the organization, called Sung Young Moon, I think his name. He since passed away. I was told he passed away in 2012. Wow, that guy, wow, he was around for a long ass time. Yeah, so he was an older guy when he passed. Yeah, they started, I think, in the 1960s. And met the organization in the early 80s, between 1980 and 81. Um, yeah, what they did, what they would do, they would, I guess, send you out. Hey, are you curious? Or are you lonely? Whatever. Hey, but let me invite you to our building. Have a meal. And it's part of their indoctrination process. Their indoctrination process. They don't tell you openly what they're all about. That's all of them, and that's even religion, modern, mainstream religion. They do the same thing. They what they call love bomb you. They tell you what you want to hear, make you feel special, or they might listen to you, um, uh, give you food. If you're hungry or homeless, hey, we got a place where you could stay. Oh, but you got to do work for us. Yeah, it was a big building, and I thought it was on 42nd Street in Manhattan, on the west side. I remember it was a white giant building with pillars. That's what I remember. Big, big, big. And I thought, oh, wow, they must be rich. They live in this big, fancy place. It was a humongous building. They owned the whole building. Yeah, they have a lot of property, I found out. The Moonies or the Unification Church, they owned a lot of property. Yeah, this guy, Sun Young Moon, he's from Korea. And it turns out, in the video that I was just watching that I fell asleep to, that I woke up to, um, they were to be investigated. And the guy that was giving doing the video that I was watching today, so he was a young fellow at the time. Um, yeah, he left the early 80s around. But the government invited him to speak at a hearing about that specific organization. So he said to be discreet about it, because he doesn't want to be X'd out from the X'd out, because they find out that he spoke out against them, will remove him permanently. That's what he told the government. And so he went to Washington, D.C. to speak to the committee regarding cults and that organization. And something happened. Well, they boycotted, the Moonies boycotted or protest, and then it was hands off. The government, the U.S. government, backed off of the Moonies under the pretense of freedom of religion. They, after that incident, that guy that's telling us about the Moonies, he had eventually got out. He got in when he was 19, and then when he was 26, he was deprogrammed. Yeah, he was a high official in the organization. They used him as one of the leaders. Not the leader, but he had responsibilities. And they appealed to your intellect too. And he used to go. He was a college student at the time when he was first recruited, and they told him to leave college. So yeah, it's a control process also. So whatever what you're doing, oh, you can't do anymore. If you're in school, oh, you gotta drop school. Oh, you live with a family, you have to leave your family. But it's done in stages until they get total control. And again, they have many buildings. Oh, you can live with us. Oh, but to live with us, sorry. But to live with us, you'd have to bring in money. You got to do a work. So that's why back in those days, in 1980s, they'll get these girls, young girls, to sell flowers and look kind of out of it. Yeah, mind control, in my opinion. They have buildings all over. Once they get you in the first door, they get you through the second door, and you usually don't get out. When you go to the retreats, they have like the weekend retreat, and you never go back home. Yeah. I'm just saying, people, just, warning you guys. Yeah, they work on you for 2 day, the weekend, a weekend retreat, and you're brainwashed, and they get you. And also they have different types of retreat. They got a 40-day retreat. They got all different retreats. I guess depending upon what type of program they're going to do on you. But yes, oftentimes you go to their weekend retreats. Many of you do not return home. So be careful, people, when you meet up with a group and they have all these flowery terms, one love, and everybody should get along, and all that fluff. But it's not all that fluff. And it turns out that guy who was deprogrammed from that organization, he was high up. And when the government had to drop their case against the Moonies / Unification Church because they were protesting, and see, they have lobbies, evidently. He didn't use the person that's telling the story about the Moonies. He did not use that term of lobbying, but that's what they do. That um, they have a lot of friends, or I should say business associates, who are, um, what do you call that the Mormons, the Church of Latter-day Saints. Yes, they're connected with them, um, the Mormons. What others? And some other organization. Yeah, there's a lot of ties. Oh, what do you call that? What do you call that thing? Scientology also. Isn't that interesting that they're associated? I mean, they have relations, like connections with these other organizations that have cult-like practices. And they also have friends in government in Utah. Yeah, they have a very strong connection. And I think it was those people, the Mormons, that protected them from the government when they were going to be investigated big time. There was a hearing that was to be used against them. And they protested, and the U.S. said, hands off. Yep. It's an eye opener. Yeah. I asked myself in hindsight, would I have joined? I mean, I was just being, invited. They said it was a church, Um, but I was wondering, why are you sharing this information? Like, oh, everybody loves everybody, all that. Why do I need to hear that? I mean, I'm saying that in hindsight. Why do I need to hear that fluff? What are you all about? What are your goals? What is it? What is it? Well, this guy also shared, this person that was a member of that organization, the Moonies, after the U.S. government dropped the investigation, someone said, hands off of them. He was given permission to read this file, this government file on that organization, and that they were part of a CIA, Korean CIA. And it was about control as a social experiment. Yeah. Yeah, because remember Jim Jones? I forget the name of his church, but Jim Jones was a charismatic, so-called Christian leader back in they started maybe in the 1960s, the race riots and all that. And he was a white man, and he went in a poor black community, And he was teaching all this love and all this kumbaya, and they ate it up. That community, I think it was I forget what state they started out from. It could have been California. But I'm not 100%. But it was some place. I should check that out where. It could have been in the South. Maybe it was the South, the Southeast. And yeah, he was a white man, and he had control over all these black people. And he told them what they wanted to hear. And they said, "Oh well, we have to." The Jim Jones said, "We have to leave America. They're out to get us." And so they went to South America, to the land of country of Ghana. I mean Guyana, British Guyana. And they were there for a number of years. And it was either 1979 or 1980. Mass suicide and killing. It was horrific. I remember the magazine cover of all the bodies. And this is in the tropics. It was about 800 something or 900 something people died there on the ground, right there. They allegedly drank the Kool-Aid. They used to have this exercise in case they get raided by the police or people who don't understand them, that they would commit suicide. And so they would have these drills of drinking what looked like Kool-Aid, this beverage in a large uh, container, and they would all participate to simulate that they're going to participate and drink the Kool-Aid. That's where that expression came from. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't drink the Kool-Aid because of the Coke, because it was laced with cyanide poison. The Kool-Aid was laced with cyanide poison, so when they drank it, they died. And so they would do this exercise and just drink it, you know. And but it came out that there was more that happened there than drinking Kool-Aid. Some of them were outright murdered, and the bodies placed where it was. So it wasn't just at random that people just died in their place, died in where they were due to the drink. There were other things that happened to them, but it was very, very sad about that. You had a charismatic white man told these poor black people what they wanted to hear, that they were good, and all those things, and using Christianity, but it got distorted, and it turns out that thing with Jim Jones also was a CIA operation. Yeah, these things are not organic. They sprout out often by government doing a social experiment. Yeah. Why do I mention about this? Well, that was 43 plus years ago. Don't you think there are organizations now that might be doing similar tactics? Oh, remember that thing is called, I think it was called Nexus? They were taking these high-profile women, women with money, and tattooing them on their belly. Yeah, they were being not tattooed, branded with a hot iron on their belly, the lower belly. I mean, these were educated people, educated, mostly white girls. They were educated, attractive. Some of them had money, and they, had a charismatic guy, and they would be, excuse me, in sexual situations with them. Yeah, it seems like some places they use sex as control. And with the Moonies, what the guy shared with the Moonies, that they weren't allowed to do things with their bodies, and they weren't allowed to touch anybody. You had to be abstinent, celibate. But their leader, though, had multiple sex partners. And he had unlimited resources of money. But they wanted everybody else to live a very stark life. So start noticing that the rules for the leaders and the rules for the others are different in a cult situation. Yeah, it's always like rules for you of conduct, but not for them. And oftentimes, they have access to exploit women sexually. And even with Jim Jones, yeah, he had partners. Yep. It's really something, though. Back in those days, in 43 years ago, that was 1980 or 1981. Yeah, how naive I was, and how someone could innocently say, "Hey, come to my church and just visit." That happens a lot in um, cities. Hey, we're having a church picnic. Oh, why don't you come? It is what it is. I've had a coworker. Yeah, 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 she used the term Hebrew Israelite. It was a church, but they believe, now I know what the Hebrew Israelite movement, that is to focus on the Old Testament and you're the descendants of those people. It's a black girl, but she was more legit. I mean, yeah, yeah, I remember her using the term Hebrew Israelite. Um, but they have the Bible, and she was going on a what is that? It was in New Jersey that with an amusement park. Yeah, she said, "Hey, you want to go to music? Our church is going to the amusement park. You want to come?" It was real informal. I said, "Sure," and I invited a family member. It was fun. That was straightforward. You have some individuals, they go to a church. Hey, we're going to have a function. You want to come? It's real laid back. But the Moonies, cults or something else. They want more of a commitment. They're more active about you coming permanently, you know. Um, and they're going to be, putting requirements on you. Um, what I've gone to the weekend, well, how I think back in those days. Now I was very naive, and yes, I was idealistic. I wanted an ideal world, but just some things was problematic, and I didn't need so much to belong to an organization to believe in idealism. I could do that by myself. Um, I don't know, but anything could have happened. They could have put drugs in the food. And when you want to leave the retreat after the weekend, because it's supposed to have been a weekend retreat, they say you can't leave. That is always an issue. Or let's say, hey, let me take you overseas. Don't give away your passport. Don't have anybody hold it. That's another trick that organizations may do to separate you from your family. That's the goal, to separate you from your family, your loved ones. Have control over your own money. Have control over your own passport. If you have a passport, there's no reason for them to hold it. Or they might say, oh, you might lose it. Well, if I lose, I lose it. I'll just put it in my own safe or security box. You can do that. Never give away your passport. Ladies, especially ladies, don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah, back then, I never been overseas at that time. They didn't ask for any ID or anything like that. Yeah. They start off slow, and they do that to build up trust in them. Now, the two individuals that invited me for so-called dinner and a video, about the organization. They had skills. Now, that shop was to raise money for the organization, and they had a skill. They blew glass. That was their job, to blow glass. Cute little, figurines. They made me an elephant, and they told me, they handed it to me. They said, it was a guy, he said, never give up your ideals. See, he wasn't a bad guy. I mean, yes, he works part of the organization, but I believe that he had idealisms. But yes, he's working for this organization, and he said, never give up your idealism. So maybe, they brainwashed them, but they might have softballed him, okay, we'll set you up in this store. My impression was they owned this store. The organization owned this store, not them. But you never know. That was my impression. They worked there, they were trained by them probably to make money. How many people know glass blowing? And that's what they did. They had beautiful work, beautiful, beautiful pieces. Yeah, I stopped going. I might have gone in there once, um, another time, many years later, but I always felt self-conscious. I don't think it's there anymore, and I don't remember the spot, but it was in the Greenwich Village around 7th Avenue, corner, right around between 6th and 7th Avenue on 8th Street somewhere in that district. Yeah. One thing I also have to say, don't feel embarrassed, people. Don't feel embarrassed. Let's say someone approaches you, maybe initially, or maybe you gave them money. That's another thing. They may ask you for money. I mean, these are people who are trained to do what they do. Don't feel that you're stupid. Just know that, yes, these people are trained to do what they do, to deceive and to control. And it's a learning lesson. So um, I would say it's okay. It's better to share your experiences because you could be saving somebody else's life. Hey, come to a weekend getaway. Find out the name of the organization. If they give a name, you write down that name. You say, well, I'll think about it. Hey, what's the name of the group? Try to be real discreet. They give you the name, write the name down. Say, yeah, I think about it. And then look it up. Look up the information. Look it up. Look up the history of the people that control the place. And there are many cults out there. And some churches, Christian churches, are cults. And when I went to the West Indies to live, I lived in different places, people. When I went to the Caribbean to live, you had these missionaries, and they used cult-like tendencies. That everybody else is wrong, but they went to Bible school, and they learned hermeneutics, the study of how to study the Bible. See that? It's always that they have something over you. Be careful about this, especially people going to these missionary schools, because many times they're taught to think a certain way, in my opinion. They work in some poor black place, or they go to the West Indies, but their ultimate goal is to go to Africa. And who they have assisting them, also usually people from their background, not the background of the people that they go into. It's like a leadership, us and them. Yeah, I remember calling I spoke to my mom and one of my brothers. Say, hey, I attend this church, but these weird things are happening. Blah, 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 blah. I said, look, anything happens to me, I'm letting you know what the deal is. Yeah, I broke away. I was just there for a couple of months. But yeah, cult-like, boy. And then the name calling after. Yeah, a lot of name calling. And so that should also be a clue that it was about control. When you are insulted to want to leave, well, maybe you have other interests. Any organization that doesn't permit you to have other activities, that's a red flag, people. I know I'm talking the truth. I know I'm speaking the truth about this. Yeah, it just brought me back. Listen to the program this morning on this guy who used to be a member of the Moonies, also known as the Unification Church. Yeah, they have strong lobbying in the country within government. They have strong ties with the what do you call it? The oh, what's that? How could I forget the name? The Mormons. Yeah, the Mormons, the Latter Day Saints. Yeah, they have strong connections with them. And the CIA. They were, according to the news report from the government, U.S. government, they were part of a CIA social experiment. Yet you have a CIA in Korea. The CIA or CIA-like organization in Korea. And it was about total control over people. Yeah, be careful, people. Be very, very careful. Yeah. Yeah, I see you guys are very quiet today. You're not saying anything. Oh, I see that the sun is starting to change right now. Oh, wow. I'm just looking at the time. Yeah, it's almost, it's going to be sunrise soon. Yeah, in about just a couple of more minutes. Yeah, see, I've been on for a little over an hour. Yeah, I want to go out today. If I can, I am a little tired. Yeah, even though I went to bed early, but it was hard for me to fall asleep. But yeah, I want to go out today. Yeah. So, yeah, life is really something. And see, it's not life if you don't experience things, you know. You're going to be experiencing things, and no one is perfect. And we have to go through the process of learning. And that's what my life was like. You're going to be tested. You're going to be tempted. A lot of things. But always know that, hey, you're human and mistakes are going to be made. And to not beat yourself over the head too long if you realize you made a mistake. We all make mistakes, especially these organizations that manipulate. You have people who are trained to brainwash you, to do things against you. And it's in increments. It's never done all at once. So know that, get to know yourself. And if you could try to set boundaries and warning signals. So when someone wants to keep you isolated from your friends and family, let's say you had a great network of friends and family. And when you notice that, they want you to have less and less time with them, your time belongs to you, people. Your time is yours. Your money is yours. Your health is yours. And always remember that in these organizations, because they want to try to take more and more of your time and money and have you take things. Yeah, you control yourself, people. And you have a choice. It's your right to choose what friends you want in your life, and not these organizations, and not even the church. Yeah, I used to hear the word church, 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 and it's synonymous with goodly. Not all churches are goodly. Not all churches are goodly. Always remember that. Always remember that. Yeah, it was a big process. And I'm still on my journey. And I'm probably going to still make some mistakes, right? But always know that you always will have you. Have that as your default. That no matter what happens, you keep yourself. Keep your identity. The identity for you, not others. So again, I thank you again for listening. I hope this was an interesting live stream for you. Again, for those who are just coming on, I talked about at the beginning about a vision that I had, and I do my morning meditation, and I meditate with my eyes closed, and I saw an office space. It looked like I was looking onto a screen, a rectangular shape screen, and it had a border, a dark border, solid border around the frame of whatever I was looking onto. And it was a lot of clutter, and that light would come on, and I realized that light, that was spark, is an energetic light to, I feel, it didn't want me in its space. Yeah, I didn't see any people, but it was a very clutterful uh, work pool, back in the day when you work in an office space with a lot of desks and clutter on them. I saw that. And yeah, a light usually comes. Some spaces that I see in my meditation, a light comes on, I feel to blind me and to deactivate my connections to what I'm looking at. Not all spaces do that, but some of them do. So it's really telling. So that's what I talked about in the very beginning, and then I later talked about um, the Moonies organization, also known as the Unification Church. Yep. Yes, Mr. Moon passed away. I was told in 2012, but the organization is still there. To my surprise, I thought it dismantled. But yeah, protect your mind, protect you, love yourself, and don't and ask yourself questions when you're told you can't do A, B, and C, but your leader's doing that. Ask yourself. So with that last information, I thank you for listening, and those of you who want to support my channel, you can do so by clicking on my PayPal Me link. My link is on my channel, Spirit Journey, and on the top right of the banner of my channel is my PayPal Me link. Just click on the link and follow the prompt. Any amount would be greatly, greatly appreciated. I thank you in advance, people. I thank you. Peace, love, and harmony be unto the listener of this live stream. Take care and enjoy your day. Bye bye.